What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you once again with another pick and prediction video for the 2019 season. Tonight I'm going to talk about an ACC Atlantic team that at one time was at the height of the college football world and now is just a mediocre team, the Florida State Seminoles. Let's get into it. So, Florida State last year finished up with a 5-7 record. Missed a bowl game for the first time since 1981. Willie Taggart looks to right the ship this year. Made some changes in the offseason. He brought in a new offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles. Has been around for a few years and is most recently the offensive coordinator for Houston last year under Major Applewhite. And the year before that, he was the offensive coordinator at Florida Atlantic with Lane Kiffin. James Blackman will be the starting quarterback for the Seminoles this year. He did not really play a lot last year, but however, he was the starter for most of the 2017 season after incumbent starter DeAndre Francois went out late in the first game of the year against Alabama. Blackman threw for 2,230 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions in 2017. Last year, he tossed 5 touchdowns with only 1 interception of limited action, 510 yards. He will be tested by graduate transfer Alex Horningbrook from Wisconsin. Last year, Horningbrook, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He threw 1,552 yards at Wisconsin in his final season there. You got to kind of wonder, I'm sure that he's a cerebral type player and that he could pick the system up pretty quickly, but, is he really going to be the best fit for that system? I don't know. I know that Briles is going to play a more up-tempo style of offense than what they've had there the past few years, and I fully expect him to move the offensive numbers at Florida State in a positive direction. They ranked number 12 in the ACC last year in total offense. That's hard to believe. That is really hard to believe, but they did. They lost 5 games by 21 points or more, and just couldn't seem to get out of their own way. They put themselves in a lot of third and long situations. Francois just did not perform very well. Conversely, he ends up, catching some domestic abuse charges in the offseason, and he ends up getting dismissed from the team. That's probably a good thing for them. Blackman was a serviceable quarterback in 2017, kind of thrusting into that role too quickly, and I think that under the tutelage of Briles that he could become a pretty decent player. Did lose his best receiver, Naquan Murray. He's gone. So, they'll have to have somebody emerge over there. But Tamarian Terry, I can't probably pronounce his name, 35 catches last year with 744 yards and 21.3 a catch. 8 touchdowns for Mr. Terry. So he is the key to their offensive production as far as the passing game goes. Of course, Cam Akers is back now for his junior season. The key for Florida State is getting this offensive line going. They got 3 new starters on that offensive line. It's been a very, very weak point on their team for the past couple of years. They have got to get that fixed and got to get it gelled and got to get it going quick. Akers actually regressed in 2018 from his production his freshman year. He had 1,025 yards in 2017. Last year, that regressed down to 706 yards. So about a 300-yard drop-off in production for Cam Akers. Now, he did play in one less game because he didn't get to do a bowl game. Well, at any rate, you would think that his numbers would grow from one year to the next, and they're not. But I definitely think that they are going to be a totally different team on offense under the tutelage of Briles. He was, I think, 8th last year in the country in total offense at Houston. Actually, was number 7. And in 2017 at Florida Atlantic, they put up over 7,000 yards of total offense there. Was not able to get exactly where they ranked there. But he's definitely a mind that's going to move the football. So that could be scary for some teams. If the offenses or their defense is not ready, Florida State could definitely surprise some people there. Defense last year, their defense, finished up ranked number 80 in the country. You'd think it'd be a lot worse than that with some of the amounts of points they gave up in some games. Gave up 41 points to Florida, over 40 points to NC State. They got 59 points to Clemson. So they did had some pretty bad games. They got up a lot of chunks of yardage and a lot of points. But they do return 8 starters, which would be 8 of the top 10 tacklers from last year, led by Hamza Nasruddin, I think is how you pronounce that. He played safety last year. This year, he's moving to outside linebacker. This is another one of those gentlemen that I'm not particularly fond of. At one time, he was committed to South Carolina, and he decommitted and decided to go to Florida State. How's that working out for you, young man? How's that working out for you? I don't know. Their defensive line is led by Marvin Wilson. Of course, Brian Burns was a player who had over 10 sacks last year for them out of the defensive line position. He's gone to the NFL. Marvin Wilson, 3.5 sacks last year, should be able to take up some of the slack there. They did move some players around in that secondary to kind of shore it up a little bit. It's led by Stanford Samuels III and Levanta Taylor. So, they've got some pieces there. If they can get the pieces in the puzzle the right way and get all the gears working in perfect synchronization, they could be a team that could be a force to be reckoned with, a dark horse in the ACC. I don't think they're going to be a dark horse to win the conference by any means, but I think they could be better than what some people are giving them credit for. Now let's get into their schedule, and we're going to talk about what I think they're going to come up with this year, huh? Well, let's get into that. All right. So we're going to start off the 2019 season on the road, or actually we are going to start off in Jacksonville against Boise State on a neutral site game. I'm going to go on ahead and give you a win there. Boise State is replacing the quarterback, Brett Rippon. That's the only reason that I'm giving you a win in this game. If not for that, this would either be a game where I would call it a toss-up, or I may even give you a loss here. Boise State has been a strong group of 5 team over the past 15 years or so. I don't look for that to change this year. I just think they're probably a little bit inexperienced, and I think you guys will take the win in that game in Jacksonville. Week number 2, you are at home against, this is not going to work out great, UL Monroe. There we go. UL Monroe, the Warhawks. I'm going to give you a win in that game. Week 3, you hit the road, take on the Virginia Cavaliers, giving you a loss there. Now, I know everybody's saying, oh, you're only giving them that, you're only high on Virginia because they beat your Gamecocks last year. Virginia's got a lot of talent coming back. Bryce Hall on defense, and then their quarterback, Perkins. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. This is a team that I feel is going to take that coastal side of the ACC this year. But more on that down the road. I'll start previewing all these teams later on. But I think you take the loss on the road at Virginia on the 14th of September. The next week, you're back at home, take on Louisville, giving you a win there. I think Louisville is going to be another team that's improved. But, you guys were bad last year, but they were really bad. And there's just a lot more rebuilding to do there. You actually have the pieces to rebuild with. I don't think they have a lot of the pieces even in place yet to rebuild. So I'm going to give you a win over the Louisville Cardinals on September 21st. So next week, you're at home again against NC State. Once again, I'm giving you a win there. This one, I'm not as surefire about this one. This is a game where you could take a loss, but NC State's rebuilding as well. Lots of skill position talent gone, namely their quarterback, Ryan Finley, and a really, really good wide receiver they had last year. His name escapes me, but NC State rebuilding this year under Dave Doran. I think you take the win over them at home. Then you have a bye week. You're at Clemson. You're not winning that game. Let's just hang it up. Hopefully, you make a better showing of yourselves than you did last year and don't get totally embarrassed. But I just don't think that you have the offensive firepower to score enough points to beat Clemson. I mean, their offense is just out of this world amazing, and you guys are probably not stopping them either. With the retool that you got on the defense, given the problems that you had in that area last year. All right, next week you're on the road at Wake Forest. I'm giving you a win there. Wake Forest is just a mediocre team. That was one of the games that you actually won last year in a down year. So I think you can definitely take the victory over them this year on the road. Shouldn't be a problem. You get a win at Wake Forest. Next week's going to be a key one. This is one of those games that's one of the keys for the season here, and it comes, a little bit past the midway point. Syracuse at home. I'm calling this one a toss-up. I think Syracuse is a little bit overvalued from looking at what they did last year. People are really high on them because, they started off quick. They almost upset Clemson last year. They upset them the year before. They won some conference games. If people want to look at some of those conference games, they put up a lot of points and they did some really good things. But they almost lost to some really bad teams. They almost lost to UNC at home. They did lose to Pittsburgh, which, Pittsburgh won the coastal side of the division. But they still weren't a good team. And Syracuse lost to them. So I'm not really that sold on these guys, but I'm still going to have to call this one a toss-up. They're picked to finish by a lot of people second in the ACC Atlantic. You guys are picked by some people to finish second in the Atlantic, by third by some. So this is one of those games that's going to be extremely pivotal. I'm looking for this one to be a toss-up. Should be a good game. And I would give you an outright win in this game if you played a little bit better against them last year, but they beat you by like 3 touchdowns. So we'll call that a toss-up against Syracuse at home. November 2nd, you got Miami at home. I think you win that game. I'm not that impressed with Miami. And look, they've just played really bad the last 2 seasons, especially along the lines of scrimmage. If you want to look at their bowl games the past couple of years, they've just gotten totally beat down and humiliated by Wisconsin 2 years in a row by the same score. They just really have not looked good to me. I'm not that impressed with these guys. They've got, some uncertainty at the quarterback position that won't be settled until, fall camp's over with. Manny Diaz, it's the player's coach, the fun guy to be around. They all love him, but I don't know if that's going to translate into wins on the football field or not. We'll see. But as far as for right now, on June the 4th, I'm calling that a win for you guys.
Oh my gosh, imagine.
November 9th, you go to the road, Boston College, giving you a win there. Boston College is another team that is going to be rebuilding this year. They were one of my picks to win more games than people are giving them credit for. But I think you guys will go on the road, get the win there. You got to win against them at home last year. They're a team that has a tendency to get kind of beat up late in the year. And, I could see that happening again this year. I could see A.J. Dillon not being able to play this game. I could see their quarterback being injured for this game. And that's no knock on them, and it's not a I'm saying, I'm glorifying injuries here and you're hoping that somebody. No, it's not that. It's just that's who they are. It happens almost every year. Just go back and look at it. I think you get the win at Boston College. November 16th, you got Alabama State at home. I don't even know if they're Division I Division I FCS, are they? I guess so. Anyway, you get the win there. I haven't ever heard of anybody playing them. And finally, the last game of the season, 30th of November, Florida on the road, I think you take the loss there. I do think you played them much better than you did last year. You had a really bad showing against them last year at home. Lost 41-14. I expect you to play a lot better this year, but I think they're probably just going to be a little bit too strong for you. Once again, given the problems that you guys have had in the secondary, Florida is going to have a really strong passing attack with Felipe Franks and about 4 wide receivers coming back that have tons of in-game experience. I just don't see you guys being able to stop them, and I think you take the loss there. So that's going to leave us with 8 wins here. 8 wins, 3 losses, and a toss-up. So, I mean, wouldn't you take an 8-4 record? I mean, I would. I mean, that would be huge for you guys, improving from 5-7 to 8-4. And depending on how that Syracuse game goes, you could finish up 9-3. You know, I could see that. I could see you playing really well this year, surprising a lot of people, and going 9-3. I mean, I also could see some things going sideways and finishing 6-6 again. Beating Boise State is not a given. Okay? Beating Boise State is definitely not a given. And it's not a given that you're going to beat NC State either, or Miami. I mean, you know, I just wrote them down pretty hard, but that's not a gimme. You know, you could win 6 games. I think with this schedule, the worst case scenario for you guys is 6 wins. You know, and I think the best case scenario for you guys is 9 wins. So that means you're probably going to finish somewhere in between that mark, and I'm giving you 8 wins. I'm saying 8-4 for the Florida State Seminoles in 2019. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that little preview. There'll be plenty more to come after this one. Make sure you stay subscribed to the Carolina Jackpot channel. Click the bell so that you get the notifications whenever Carolina Jackpot posts a new video. And I'll see y'all later. Appreciate it. Peace. And I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Woo!